Welcome to the Chelsea Fans Channel. Yesterday is still fresh in the memory, and what we need to do is find out exactly why it went wrong. It was one of the most painful defeats I can remember. We were thoroughly outplayed and Everton got exactly what they deserved and we got exactly what we deserved. It was torturous actually. Being up at Goodison Park was one of the worst memories now that I have. And I think what we need to do is explore exactly where it went wrong. Emotion needs to be put aside and we need to analyse the facts. And I think the only way to do that is with an espresso and with a bit of perspective. So let's begin. I think the first thing that we need to highlight is the poor individual performances. I think that it's well documented that Branislav Ivanovic has been terrible of late, and he was certainly at fault for their second goal. He didn't have a good game overall, but it's well documented. We've had this discussion. So Branislav Ivanovic needs to be dropped. We need to move on. We need to get Bubba Rahman in at fullback. But he is by no means the only one. He is copying a lot of the blame, and I understand why. But there are a lot of players, 4 or 5 in my opinion, playing below par. So that needs to change. I think that the most obvious, glaring performer, or lack of performance, comes from Eden Hazard. I claimed last season that Eden Hazard would win a Ballon d'Or in 2 years. He is displaying form that is nowhere near that, and you actually look slightly foolish if you mention his name alongside the likes of Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. He is nowhere near that level of expectation at the moment, so something needs to give there. He is a fantastic player. He's one of the most naturally gifted dribblers I've ever seen. He's unselfish. He has an eye for a goal. He has the potential to be a flawless performer. Jose Mourinho loves him. He works hard. He tracks back, but this needs to all come back into his game. He looks unfit to me. You know, our pre-season was arguably not solid enough, and his performances have just been poor. He needs to be taking the games by the scruff of the neck, and he hasn't done that at all this season. So Eden Hazard absolutely needs to up his game. Cesc Fabregas, he hasn't played well for 6 months. I mean, I think Chelsea haven't played well for about that same amount of time, so there's definitely something in that. I was talking to a friend in the pub before the game yesterday, and we concluded that Chelsea haven't played well since we beat Tottenham on the 1st of March in the Carling Cup final. That's ages, and it's completely unacceptable. So something needs to give, and I think that pretty much coincides with Cesc Fabregas' dip in form. He was pedestrian yesterday. The game passes him by. He's slow. He's off the pace. He never has any time on the ball. He's dispossessed. He gives the ball away constantly, and he needs to either up his game, move position, or be dropped. These are the 3 options open to Mourinho. Because he cannot play in that defensive midfield role. I was pleased to see that he didn't play there yesterday, but that needs to be confined to the memory banks. And Fabregas really does need to find his feet again, because it's just not acceptable. And he is so pivotal to doing the good things for us. Everything good that comes through Chelsea when he's playing well is brilliant, and he's responsible for it. But if he's playing badly, he doesn't contribute enough to the team. His work rate isn't there. So if he's not going to be playing well, if he's not going to be assisting and potentially scoring goals, I don't think he belongs on the pitch. He was pedestrian yesterday. The game completely passed him by. So completely unacceptable. This comment does not fill me with any sort of happiness, but I'm afraid that Diego Costa is in for it here. He has just looked the shadow of the man who guided us to the Premier League with his blistering form a year ago. He burst onto the Premier League scene. He was scoring in virtually every game he played. He was winding up defenders. He was winding up opposition fans, but he was doing it the right way. He was doing it by scoring goals. Now he's just a shadow of that man. It's not good enough. I think he's scored 4 goals in his past 18 appearances. That stat tells you all you need to know. It's not on, and he really does need to have a look in the mirror. He likes winding people up so much that he seems to forget that the best way to wind them up is by hitting the back of the net. So focus more on that and less on the arguments with Jagielka and the arguments with the referee and the arguments with James McCarthy. Put the ball in the back of the net when Ivanovic puts you in. Have a shot at least. It's just not acceptable, and Branislav Ivanovic really does need to up his game. But if he doesn't, Mourinho needs to do something about it. Falcao came on against Palace, he scored. He came on yesterday, he looked hungry. We have options, and I don't think we should be afraid to use them. Which brings me on to my next point, which is Jose Mourinho. He needs to take a portion of the blame here, because I think his substitutions yesterday were appalling. I thought he brought Kennedy on. Kennedy did look impressive against Crystal Palace, but he wasn't up to the challenge yesterday. He did not look good enough. And taking Mikel off left us completely exposed. We just weren't up to it. Everton looked brilliant. They were streaming through our midfield. Nemanja Matic, who actually played quite well yesterday for the first time in a long time, was completely exposed. And the second that we took Mikel off, there was no recovery. We were out of that game from that moment onwards. So Mourinho does need to have a look in the mirror, and I also think he needs to up his squad rotation. I mentioned that Falcao's pushing for a place, but he's by no means the only one. People need to be dropped if they aren't playing well. So let's rotate the squad. We have a small, but we have a good electric squad. So let's make full use of it. This point is actually the one that worries me and troubles me the most. I was thinking late last night, and I just thought, when you cast your minds back to brilliant football teams, to cast your minds back to the Chelsea team of 2005, Manchester United teams throughout the 90s, lots of those teams would have gone a goal down or 2 goals down at Goodison Park yesterday and got a goal back through a moment of brilliance or luck or whatever and won the game. We did not do that. We got back into the game through a fantastic strike that was arguably undeserved, and we didn't capitalise on it. We had 10 minutes towards the end of the first half where we really should have gone for the jugular, and we didn't do it. So I wonder, does this team have the hunger and the desire to win this Premier League, retain our trophy? Because if it doesn't, something needs to give here, because they're not showing that any sort of fight or the required level of desire that is needed to win the Premier League. So they really do need to have a look in the mirror. And I think that the other final point is realism. I've just read an article. I was down at my nan's and she had the Daily Express, and there's an article in that from Branislav Ivanovic, and he has suggested that Chelsea are actually playing well. I've got the article up here, and he has said that we didn't play badly yesterday, we were unlucky, and we didn't get what we deserved. He says that everything is going against us. I cannot disagree with this more. I think we played abysmally, and I think that Branislav Ivanovic was one of the most abysmal performers in that performance. And we got exactly what we deserved. Everton were worthy of their win, and to put it down to bad luck or to things going against us is actually a bit of an insult to the travelling fans, because we watched the game. We're not idiots. We saw our team get thoroughly outplayed. So I think that we need to acknowledge that we weren't good enough, and it's nothing to do with luck. We have a massive week coming up now, so let's hope that we can galvanise this team, get a result against Tel Aviv midweek, and please let us smash Arsenal, because that one will be far too difficult to bear. Chin up, everybody, and I hope that you have a good Sunday. And as always, comment below, let me know exactly what you think. I'm going to be on the comments. The second this video goes live, I'm going to be there trying to have a chat with you all, because I'm very, very interested to hear your thoughts on what went wrong. I've given my thoughts, but please let me know exactly what you think. Hard to say, but remember, we're the champions. They are not. Cheers.
Alright guys, welcome to Chelsea Fans Channel. This is our post-match review. We've just come out of Goodison Park, where we've just lost 3-1 against Everton. There are no positives to take from the match. I mean, Matic's goal was amazing, but apart from that, I can't say there's anything that I'm particularly proud of watching today. No, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, actually, Sophie. There is no positives. I think I often have a bit of criticism levelled at me that I'm the person who finds a positive and always like a glass half full kind of bloke. And even I can't put a positive spin on this one. It was disgraceful, almost from